You might not know what this is, but if you've used Rosalia a few times, you might recognize this as the level 10 ability or the Kinetic Charge. And I'm going to be putting together a strategy with the Marine and Rosalia here on Workshop Chimps and getting a whole bunch of cash spare, quite a lot, more than you might expect this to get. But I'm going to be using this power of a little cool trick that you can do with the Rosalia where you can stack these Kinetic Charge mines, the level 10 ability. Now this sounds extremely busted until I say this only works on one single round, which is round 100, so when we get there it will be a great help, but it really isn't much of a help on any other rounds. So why is this such a big deal? It's because on round 100 it actually helps a lot. Doing 6k damage total to the bad, doubling that will allow me to do 12k damage, which in Expert Chimps challenges can actually save a good deal of money, and this being a strong combination with Rosalia and the Marine, I'm going to be able to end off with 85,000 cash spare on Workshop for a very underrated tower, which is really cool. So I'm going to start this off with a 100 NG that's going to become a foam later on. We'll get a spike in the back. I'm going to leave it as 100 until I can Chinook it, so get the discounts. We're just going to be trying to maximize up the discounts, and then getting down Rosalia early and having Rosalia do most of the damage here in the early game until I can build up into more efficient stuff. I'm also going to be doing a cool synergy, which you might not have seen with the Desperado here too. So while I was waiting to afford the Chinook and get all the discounts, I got that Desperado up. That's going to be a 240, doing a lot of damage around 100, and also will be allowing Rosalia to pop DDTs by allowing Rosalia to in turn pop Black Bloons, which is a pretty big deal. So I'm going to have that, and then I can finally Chinook over the Spike Factory, so I can get the discounts on it. This run right here that you're seeing actually isn't the final run. I did a second run where this actually failed on round 99. I didn't get the stall that I needed on round 99, but when I did the second optimized run, I didn't record the early game, so that is this recording, but it's basically the same thing. There's a few changes. As you'll see, I will buy a second alch buff that is absent from the optimized run, and I also do discounting a lot better, so I start off with just completely on 100 and carry all the way into 100 until Chinook, and then I can basically discount the entire spike mines, which is a pretty big deal. Everything else is roughly the same, and I'll be able to go all the way into these special operations with the nice Rosalia discount. That's going to be helping a lot. and with that I won't have to use any extensions going all the way into the late game, so I will have cheap extensions to use, which is a really big deal, and trying to limit them, I'll be able to get away without spending that much, which will preserve a lot of cash there. Sometimes you can get into challenges on Workshop and you have a really cheap setup, but you really just don't prepare for the amount of motors that you have to use, and if you end up having to use like 2 motors on every round in the late game and they end up costing like $2,000, you're just wasting so much money. That's not the efficient way to do it. So this is running on a really close tide of efficiency with upgrades and efficiency with motors, which is a pretty big deal. So I'm able to get this and push right into the special operations and then into the late game a little bit. Some of these rounds are a little chaotic. Really pretty much just have the spike mines trying to clear a whole bunch of stuff, and then this one Chinook trying to deal with stuff. It's kind of an annoying thing about using special operations. Sometimes the save up can be a little bit hectic because the Chinook really isn't doing necessarily a whole lot. Now this is into the optimized run. As you can see, that second Berserker Brew is absent. I will not be needing it, and I just shifted around the placements with Chinook. These towers weren't originally placed there. That's a pretty cool thing, and I'll be using that to my advantage just actually by moving a lot of towers over into better spots. And then we just have the Moab glue, and I'm moving along. There's a lot of cool tricks that I'll be using with Rosalia, so you'll just see that, and we'll get some pretty satisfying rounds with this too. Now going into the final handful of rounds, this round 98 was really cool. It was very tricky to do. It took a long time. I believe this is possible with one less slow. I did 2 slows and 2 track extensions. I got some very close attempts with 1 slow and 2 track extensions, however was just not quite able to do it. I believe it is possible, so you could save like $1,000 if you want to go crazy doing that and get like 86k spare, but I ended up doing 2 and 2 just to make things a little bit easier. And then you'll notice that for the kinetic charge ability trick that I was talking about in the title, the way that you can do this is just by stalling out the round, placing the kinetic charge, and then waiting for about 75% of the cooldown, because it will go away before you can actually put down seconds, so you can only stack 2 of them. And if you do that, then it's going to come out to the next round and explode on the first target. And for most rounds, like round 99, it's not going to do anything. For some rounds like 98, it's going to barely do anything because it will just be on the first target and not really do much. But on round 100 with 1 target, this is a pretty big deal. So round 99, I have to stall out this 1 ceramic, and I get a pretty good thing here. This can do an infinite stall actually, because this 1 regrow ceramic will just regrow. And you'll notice I placed down the mine, that little blue red blinking thing. That thing is going, and I need to wait for 75% of the cooldown to be up so I can do the second one on round 100, but I want to make sure that that first one won't expire. There's like a very small gap that it will work, so I kill it about there, and then I move the Chinook up, no, not the Chinook, I move the Berserker Brew up to the Bounty Hunter. That's going to be doing a lot of round 100 damage. It was very good in here. It was allowing Rosalia to pop the DDTs, now taking out round 100, and then when it's out of range, I move the brew back to the spike mine so it can clean up the DDTs, use my extensions, and just barely pop this thing open before the ZOMGs will stop going to the spike mines. And then with some good luck, it took a little bit of luck, I was able to finally pop the insides of the bat and finish with 85,000 cash spare using Marine, and Rosalia. This was a really cool run. Had a lot of fun doing it. It was kind of annoying at some times though, but seeing Marine go do crazy work is very satisfying. So pretty cool. I like it. Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!